Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Letitia and this is That's So Letitia. In today's video, I will be showing you how to apply your foundation for those of us who have oily complexions, oily T-zones, and combo complexions. Let's get into it. So a few items that you actually will need for this tutorial. Definitely a primer. For those of us who have oily complexions, it's best to stay away from oil-based kind of illuminating primers, those that have the word like illuminating, sometimes even hydrating in their description or in their ingredient list. Definitely in the first 5 ingredients. And the reason for that is you want something that is going to help combat the oil breakthrough that kind of gives you that oily, overly dewy look in your foundation. So it's best to go with primers that are oil-free, more along the lines of like water-based. And this one here by Mercier, it's a favorite of mine. I've been using it for a while. She has several primers, but this one is actually called their Pure Canvas Primer. It is a silicone oil-free primer. So I've already taken the liberty of starting with that. So a good primer would be your first item in your arsenal. And the second one would be a good setting powder. Now, this is not my tip. Honestly, I've searched, and I actually came across this tip watching one of Jackie Ina's videos, who also has kind of like oily combination skin. So our setting powder, we're actually going to apply before we put on the foundation. It actually acts as an agent to help dry out the areas, or at least mattify the area when you do apply your foundation. So I'm just going to get a dampened beauty sponge. You can use a brush for this one if you like, and I'm going to apply it to the areas that are most oil prone. For those of us with oil-prone skin, again, like the primer, you want to steer clear of foundations that have the word like luminous, dewy, glow, anything that would suggest that it's actually going to bring more shine to your face. Those foundations, if you are really trying to combat the oil, those you want to stay away from, because they're actually formulated to bring a little bit of a glow or a highlight to your face. Now, if you worry that it will take away from, some sort of highlight or glow, we actually can add that back in the areas that you wish to see it in at a later time, with a little bit of help from our makeup. However, the one that I'm going to be using today, it has been tested. It is Letitia approved. This one is amazing. It is actually the Estee Lauder Long Wear, Double Wear, Stay in Place Oil-Free Foundation. I'm just going to apply a little bit of that onto the back of my hand. I'm going to apply it using my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I use this brush for absolutely everything. I love it tremendously. Okay, it's on the brush, and I'm just going to apply it all over. Next, we're going to go ahead and start adding our concealers. The first concealer of 2 that I use for my under eye area is by Tarte. It is their Shape Tape, and this is what it looks like. The shade that I use is 53S, which is Deep Sand. I like this concealer because it dries down pretty fast and it gives great coverage. You don't need much at all. And to blend it in, I'm going to use a baby damp beauty blender makeup sponge. The second concealer I'm going to use, it is by Juvia's Place. This is from their I Am Magic collection. And this one is in shade 6. I'm also going to apply this one under the eye, but I kind of use this one to highlight some of the areas that I want, you know, to kind of bring a little bit more brightness to. Just gonna use my mirror here. And once I've applied all of the concealer that I'm going to use for highlighting purposes, I tend to kind of go on to other areas of my face, such as filling in my brows or maybe even checking emails, because I like to give it at least 2 to 3 minutes to dry down a little bit. And basically what that does is it sets the stage to allow the concealer to set in place, because when you conceal, you're actually covering up something. And if you kind of move it around the moment that you apply it, it's as loose as your foundation was. So it tends to settle in with the foundation. And now we are going to blend in the concealer. I'm going to be using for this a brush. This is my Sephora brush. I believe it is, what is this? Pro Flawless Airbrush 56. I'm just going to grab my mirror. Okay, so once we have that portion completed, the next step in our concealer would be for our contours. So that one again, Juvia's Place, I Am Magic, but this one is in shade 6. And that one goes along like the hairline area, your jawline, and a bit of the nose. For this one, I pretty much don't let sit. I kind of get right into it. I'm going to be using a Real Technique brush for this, and just going to pretty much the same exact motion that I use to apply the foundation. One of the last steps in our foundation application, definitely because we have oily skin, is going to be to set it. So I have 2 setting powders that I use, one for my highlighted concealer, and then the other is for the contour. First one I am going to be using, and it is by Fit Me of Maybelline, and it is in the shade medium deep. I'm going to use my beauty sponge. Here is the setting powder, and I'm just going to put it in the areas that I use the lighter shade concealer on. And if you notice, I'm kind of taking my time doing this, just because, again, if you have oily skin, you want to make sure that you actually do what you can to combat it so your makeup lasts, you know, as long as it possibly can. For our contoured concealer, the setting powder we're going to use for that, it is by Fit Me Maybelline, and this one is in the shade Deep. Going to go across, do this. And one thing that I like to do, especially when you have the contrast from the brighter setting powder and the dark contoured powder, I like to kind of meet them both in the middle in the areas that I did not apply any setting powder. You can use a setting powder that is in the shade of your foundation. For this, I actually like to use Too Faced. This is their Born This Way multi-use complexion powder. It is in the shade of my Born This Way foundations. And I just like to kind of go along the areas that I did not, again, set, just so everything is on the same page. And if you like, you can take a light sweeping across of the entire face with it. Okay, last thing we are going to do is use a setting spray. Now, for those of us with oily complexions, it is best to set your foundation. And this is before your blush, this is before your eyeshadow, your lipstick, your lashes. Set your foundation first, apply your other products, then set it all together again. The one that I enjoy using, it is by Decay. It is their all-nighter spray. I get the most wear out of my makeup using this one. So we're just going to set so everything goes back to looking a little bit more natural, not so powdery. And then you can use your brush and just kind of whatever is left on it from the setting powders that you used. Just kind of go back over your face. And voila, you, my friend, are done with your complexion. You are ready to take on the world and apply the rest of your makeup. I hope you guys enjoyed this foundation tutorial. We're not done. This is just a foundation. We still got a look to pull off. So click on this video right there and get started with the rest of our look. See you in the next video.